Hey guys, it's Izzy here, and today we're going to be looking at my April TBR. If you don't know what TBR stands for, it means to be read. So these are all of the books that I want to read in April. It's quite a big stack, so let's get into it. We're going to be starting with my nonfiction pick, and if you don't know what nonfiction, I always do the audiobook, so with this, I will be following along with the audiobook, and that is Astoria by Peter Stark. Astor and Jefferson's Lost Pacific Empire, a tale of ambition and survival on the early American frontier. So Astoria is a nonfiction book that tells the story of the Astor expedition to establish a fur trading empire on the Pacific coast of North America. The book details the journeys of Astor, who was a New York businessman, and his team of explorers, traders, and settlers as they set out on a journey across the continent to reach the mouth of the Columbia River. The book also delves into the wider historical context of the expedition between the rivalry of Britain and the United States for the Pacific coast to put outposts there. So this is one I got on Book Outlet a long time ago, and I am just fascinated with westward expansion and all of that. Nobody in my family really did that. As far west as my family got was basically Tennessee, Alabama, but I do want to know, well, I should say back in these times, because now I have family all over the country, but back in whenever this was, the 1810, we were only in like Alabama, Tennessee. I don't even know if at that time we were there yet, but I am fascinated to see how the West Coast was settled. And if you go to the West Coast, okay, we're gonna use San Francisco for an example. I'm like, who in their right mind was like, let's put a city here? Because there are so many hills, and I'm just like, even now driving up it is a journey in itself. So I wonder with the technology they had back 200 years ago, how all that played out. Next we have Check Please, Book 2, Sticks and Scones by Ngozi Uzuku. So as you can see, this is part 2 in a graphic novel series. So I'm just going to tell you about part 1 because I don't want to spoil the whole series for you. So Check Please is a story that follows a character, Eric Biddy, and a figure skater turned hockey player at Samuel University. So the first book is 2 parts. It covers Biddy's freshman year and then his sophomore year. So I'm assuming this one is doing his junior and senior year. This is his junior and senior year on the college hockey team. This book is a heartwarming and humorous coming of age story as Biddy navigates his college life, his love life, and his love of baking. The story also explores identity, acceptance, friendship, and as Biddy comes to terms with his own sexuality on and gaining support on and off of the ice. So it's just so wholesome, and I love that. And as y'all know, I'm a big hockey fan, so to see hockey portrayed in a graphic novel is super fun. When I first started this series, it was a long time ago. It was like 2020, which 2020 seems like thousands of years ago. That was when I was kind of getting into hockey. Some friends were like, you need to get into this and all of that, and yeah, and I had read Beartown around that time, so I was like, okay, and this was very popular on BookTube, so I'll dip my toes in. But now I'm like full-fledged hockey. Like, I go to hockey games every month and watch hockey games on TV all the time, so cannot wait. We have a thriller now, and that is Breathless by Amy McCulloch. So this was the May Book of the Month pick in 2022, and I just haven't got to it yet, but by the thrillers that I've liked, I like thrillers with blue covers. No, I'm joking, but I like when the elements are involved, you know, like the weather. So this is There's a Killer on the Mountain. Journalist Cecily Wong is over her head. She's come to Manaslu, the 8th highest peak in the world, to interview internationally famous mountaineer Charles McVie. On the last leg of the record-breaking series of summits, she's given up everything for this story. Her boyfriend, her life savings, the peace she's made with her climbing failures in the past, but it's a career-making opportunity. It could finally put her life back on track. But when one climber dies and what everyone else assumes is a freak accident, she fears their expedition is in danger. And by the time a second climber dies, it's too late to turn back. Stranded on the mountain in one of the most remote regions of the world, she will have to battle more than the elements in a harrowing fight for survival against a killer who is picking them off one by one. That sounds so scary. Being out in the wild and having a killer pick one, like, you know, that. And then you're like in, I think it's the Himalayas. I don't know. You're in a mountain range. It's like, where can you go? Where can you get away from this? That's scary. I think the famous guy, the Charles McVie, is the killer. Just by reading that description. Now we have The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This is an adult fantasy. And I think, am I doing an audiobook for this? I don't remember. No, it looks like I'm not. So I might have to switch to it because I found with fantasy, sometimes I'll just be like, I don't know how to pronounce any of this stuff. I need help. And so that's when audiobooks are super helpful. So what is this one about? So neither here nor there, but long ago, Luli al-Nazari is the midnight merchant, a criminal who, with the help of her djinn, I learned how to say that, but now I don't remember. I think it's djinn, bodyguard, hunts and sells illegal magic. When she saves the life of a cowardly prince, she draws the attention of his powerful father, the sultan, who blackmails her into finding an ancient lamp that has the power to revive the barren land, at the cost of sacrificing all jinn. With no choice but to obey or be executed, Luli journeys with the sultan's oldest son and one of the infamous 40 thieves to find the artifact. Aided by her bodyguard, who has secrets of his own, they must survive ghoul attacks, outwit a vengeful jinn queen, and confront a malicious killer from Luli's past. I hope it's not a love triangle, but it kind of sounded like it. We have a memoir now, which is one of my 5-star predictions, and that is Love, Pamela by Pamela Anderson, and I do have a signed copy here, and I forgot all those papers were in it, but there's my signed first edition copy. So this is a memoir that tells the story of the actress, model, and activist. From her humble beginnings in Canada to the rise of being a Baywatch star and then turned activist. The book is written in Anderson's own voice. She doesn't use a ghostwriter, with an intimate and candid tone that gives readers a glimpse into her personal life and experiences. Anderson shares stories of her childhood, her relationships, and her struggles with addiction and trauma. So that just seems so eye-opening, and I watched her documentary and loved it, so I can't wait to read her book. We do have a romance now, and this is a mass market, look at the cover, but a mass market paperback, so I think I'm going to switch and do the ebook, just because when I bought this, I had like no problem with mass market paperback, but now I am somebody who I don't really like reading them. And I read the prequel to this series. This is the Cajun series by Sandra Hill, and this one is The Love Potion. So yep, fame and fortune are surely only a swallow away when Dr. Sylvie Fontaine discovers a chemical formula guaranteed to attract the opposite sex. Though her own love life is purely hypothetical, the shy chemist's professional future is assured as soon as she can find a human guinea pig. Now we have my historical fiction pick, and this is is she from South Carolina? Yep, lives in Charleston. So this is by a local author. It was published by the University of South Carolina, and I bought it at a local indie bookstore. So this is The Cagemaker by Nicole Seltz. So where is the description? Oh, this is kind of long. So bringing the New Orleans of the late 1800s and early 1900s vividly to life. I love that setting so much, like Red Dead, here we go. Nicole Seltz's latest novel unfolds as a series of letters, journal entries, and newspaper articles discovered in the secret compartment of an enormous, exquisitely detailed birdcage that Trish, a 21st century blogger, has inherited from a heretofore unknown relative. As she peruses the documents, Trish finds herself irresistibly drawn into the history of her family, a tale that is as one letter puts it, part love story, part horror and madness. So I love the dual timelines, and when it's like family members who lived far apart, and then I love New Orleans in that time period. I've never been to New Orleans. Hopefully one day I do get to go, but I love that setting, so I cannot wait to pick up this one. And then it's multimedia, so that's pretty cool. I don't think I've read a historical fiction like that, so that's really unique. Now a science fiction pick, and that is Goliath by Tochi Onyobuchi. So this is it's not a new release anymore, but it was last year when I bought it. I bought it as a new release, so I'm finally getting to it. So in the 2050s, Earth has begun to empty. Those with the means and the privilege have departed the great cities of the United States for the more comfortable confines of space colonies. Those left behind salvage what they can from the collapsing infrastructure as they eke out an existence. Their neighborhoods are being cannibalized. Brick by brick, their houses are sent to the colonies. What was once a home, now a quaint reminder for the colonists of the world that they wrecked. Okay, like that reminds me of the movie WALL-E, like maybe what happened before the movie WALL-E. I saw that movie in theaters and loved it. Goliath. And lastly, we have another 5-star prediction, because a lot of these books were carryover because War and Peace took me so long to get through, so I had to carry over some of my March books into April. But the book I'm about to tell you all about is The Medici by Mary Hollandsworth. So The Medici by Mary Hollandsworth is a historical nonfiction book that tells the stories of one of the most powerful and influential families in Italy. The Medici family rose to providence in the 14th century. Prominence is the word I meant. And they became known for their wealth, their political power, and patronage of the arts. So the book delves into those things, the arts, which helped to fuel the family's fame and the Renaissance. And it led to some of the most iconic artworks of that period. Hollandsworth provides insight on the family's support of artists like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Botticelli, just to name a few, as well as their contributions to the development of architecture, music, and art. So I love the Medici family. I love learning about them. They're really one of the families that hooked me into learning about history, and this book was published by House of Zeus, which is one of my favorite publishing companies, just because they do so many great historical and historical fiction and nonfiction work alike. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, comment, rate, and subscribe. If you made it all the way through, leave a horse emoji in the comments below and tell me which books you guys are picking up in April. And I cannot wait to see you in the next one, and to be notified, ring that notification bell. Bye!